It's time for the 1430 Connection on 1430 WNAV and 99.9 FM, spotlighting news, newsmakers, and important community issues. Now, with this week's edition of the 1430 Connection, here is WNAV news anchor Donna Cole.
Welcome to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. In the studio with me today is Lauren Ridzon. She's the event chair for the upcoming Anne Arundel Walk to End Alzheimer's. That's being held on October 23rd, downtown Annapolis, right at Susan B. Campbell Park. Welcome, Lauren. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
How did you come to chair this event? You have some history with Alzheimer's in your family, do you not?
Yes. I actually grew up in kind of my formative years around high school, 8th grade high school era. My grandmother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and then my grandfather as well. My grandfather lived with us during that time, and that's kind of one of those things that you remember well when you're a high schooler.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, so they have since passed, but it was probably 10 plus years of our life, 15 years of just my parents and our family kind of digging in with the different stages and levels as it got on. And then I got involved probably about 10 years ago, just because I felt like it connected me back to them and the good memories, and I really wanted to kind of make something of it, and the association has been really great to work with, so I keep getting promoted, I guess.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you've been doing it for 10 years?
Yeah, I started actually out in San Francisco. I lived out there for some time, and I think that was where I wanted a family connection, so I got involved there. And then when I moved back here a couple years ago, I actually was house hunting and saw signs up for the Walk to End Alzheimer's in Annapolis, and I was like, oh, they have one here too. Easy, turnkey, kind of keep it going. And I joined the committee to meet some people in the association and get involved, and then they, I guess, nominated me chair this year. I don't know.
Nice. Congratulations.
Elected. I don't know how that works.
You raised your hand one too many times.
Yes, maybe.
But for those that don't do these type of things or volunteer quite often, if you are new to a town, even if you are not new to a town, there is no better way to meet people than to be involved with a nonprofit that needs you as much as you want to help them, correct?
Yeah, no, definitely. And they've just been so welcoming, and it actually has really brought my family back together on the East Coast. Me moving back, my whole family out here extended walks with me on last year. They walked, and they plan to walk on October 23rd with me, so we have like about 15 people strong. And I used to walk by myself in San Francisco.
So this, again, it's October 23rd. It's in the morning, yeah?
It's actually registration starts at 11 and walks at noon, so pretty midday. And then we get back and do the post-walk celebration with the Dogfish at Ale House at, I don't know, maybe 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So it's a midday, great for the weather.
And how long is the walk?
Not very long. I would say less than 2 miles, 1.5 miles.
So easily doable.
Yeah.
And kids can join in the fun.
Yeah.
Dogs can join in the fun.
And it's right around Annapolis proper downtown. So, I mean, we've even made a shortcut for those that need an even shorter cut on that end. We have water stations, and we have the retailers along the walk cheering us on. It's really a kind of a downtown event.
It's a pretty important event. The money goes to who?
The Alzheimer's Association, chapter of Maryland.
Okay.
They do a very good job of managing their money, and I know that as chair because we get everything donated that we possibly can. So, we don't try to spend any money. It goes all towards the awareness, the services that the association provides, et cetera, in the chapter of Maryland.
And tell me, okay, obviously you have a lot of, how many participants did you have last year? Do we know a rough?
Last year, I want to say we were of over 800 or so, and we're definitely trying to get to 1,000 this year.
So you heard her. Get online and sign up. And where can people sign up?
We have our Walk Facebook page, or you could also go to alz.org/Maryland. You can look for our walk there, or alz.org/walk, and search for your local walk.
According to the Centers for Disease Control, this is the 6th leading cause of death in the United States. That's a scary statistic.
It's startling, yeah. And there isn't necessarily any way to slow it down at this point. I think since I've been involved, I would say I was a little more attuned to the news around this, just being involved with the association, and it's really great to hear the progress that research has made, even in the last couple of years. I mean, obviously, since my grandparents were alive, there wasn't anything. So I think there's a lot of hope, and the association has a great mission to kind of keep that going. And I think they've even kind of put something out for 2025 to, that kind of Babe Ruth pointing into the stands. That's our hope. It's 2025.
For this to be gone.
Cured at least, or something.
That'd be a great thing, right? We're going to take a short break. I'm Donna Cole. We will be right back on the 1430 Connection. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. I am Donna Cole. In the studio with me is Lauren Ridzon. She's event chair for the Anne Arundel Walk to End Alzheimer's. It's being held in downtown Annapolis. Kickoff registration time is at 11 o'clock. The date, October 23rd. Do not miss it. Alzheimer's, as we just discussed, is the 6th leading cause of death in the United States. It's the only one that
no way to prevent or slow the process.
That's scary. Events like this, where your money is going to the Alzheimer's Association, it's going to help end this, eradicate this. It's really important. Lauren, you went through experience with Alzheimer's in your youth, in your formative years as a teenager.
Grandmother actually had it first, and it's one of those things that there is no kind of line in the sand of when you had it or not had it, and we sort of look back and realize she probably had it a lot earlier than we realized, because my grandfather did not have it at the time yet, and they were self-sufficient at the time, and he sort of hid it, helped hide it from us, right. Just from, they were very prideful people, and it's not a prideful disease. So I think,
what do you remember? And how do you remember him hiding it?
Yeah, I think he would sort of cover for her if she, whether forgot something or, just very much nurtured her. And we weren't necessarily with them all the time. They were living on their own at the time. And then I think once we started to realize things like, I remember at 3 a.m, my parents getting a call that my grandmother was pulled over in Dover, Delaware, and she's going to the grocery store.
And she lived where?
She lived in Bethesda, Maryland.
Yeah, that's not close by.
Yeah, not close by, and she was pulled over because she was driving too slow in a highway, which is also dangerous, and it was 3 a.m. So things like that started to pop up, and it just got to the point where it was dangerous, and you start to realize, I started to realize she started to give me things, and I was a kid at the time, but she would, she gave me her number one grandma pin, and I remember being like, Grandma, this is for you. Why would you give this to me? Right. She wanted to give, it just started to not process. So fast forward, she ended up, we did put her in a nursing home with caregivers, and we had my grandfather then lived with us because he was also starting to kind of not fully develop to her level. And then we would visit her all the time with him. She had it for over 10 years. I would say probably for about at least 5 of those, she did not know who we were. Wow. Did not remember our names, or, my mom was her daughter, and we would visit her and give her the attention, but she just they revert back to different other memories, or just kind of random, not so, just something that wasn't relevant to the scenario or the situation. And I remember sort of being scared as a kid going to the nursing homes. I didn't like it that much.
I don't think anybody does.
Yeah, and I feel bad about that now, but yeah, it's kind of not a warm and fuzzy feeling as a kid. But so then slowly my grandfather also had to go into a home as well, because we couldn't keep up with him at our house. He would be leaving the house. We'd have to start locking the doors, or we were worried he was going to take the car that he couldn't do and couldn't drive anymore. We were kids and my parents had jobs, so...
Do Alzheimer's patients like your grandfather, your grandmother, do they get frustrated because you're not understanding?
Oh, yeah.
So they get angry, right?
And that's a good point. I think that's where we thought maybe she probably had it earlier than we thought, because she was real crotchety. And you just think that's just... She's older and we're just kids or whatever,
Right.
But she was probably just very frustrated with us because we weren't
Getting it.
Exactly. That's a good point. I think that was one of the first probably signs too.
Looking back, is there some sense of they did understand that you were there?
I think at some point, I don't, I can't even speak to where the brain takes them and it's unfortunate because physically,
They're there.
they were totally fine.
Right.
And that's why I think my grandmother lived so long with the disease, is physically she was fine. Mentally she wasn't. And I mean, I don't know in the last 5 years if us visiting her even helped or not. I think it's more of you do it for yourself and what you feel better about doing. But, and at the time I was, again, only in high school, but we didn't know about the Alzheimer's Association. I mean, this was in the 90s, but I think back about how it probably would have helped us a ton to just have a support group or someone to call with questions. I mean, when my mom was looking for different nursing homes and different caregiving situations all over the state, to be honest. I mean, we were driving to Frederick for a while and so on and so forth, and I wish we had either known about it at the time, and because I think that's one of their big things is not only going for a cure, but also providing services to the people that need it.
Yeah, absolutely. When you say somebody has died from Alzheimer's, what does that mean? I guess I'm a little unclear on that.
A lot of people are unclear on that, actually. It's more often than not, and I think it's becoming more and more that they're starting to attribute the Alzheimer's disease to someone's death, maybe on a death certificate. For the most part, it's usually something else. Stroke or, pneumonia or something in their age that gets them, but really... it's the
backstory was the one that did it.
Exactly.
Yeah, with dementia, my husband's grandmother you forget to swallow.
Yeah. They forget how to walk. My grandmother was in a wheelchair for a while. Then the bone density, goes kind of away. It's just, it's a slow process. And that's why it's hard for someone to say, this death is attributed to Alzheimer's, which is why I think the statistics are even hard to understand. So
because they might not reflect the real, and probably haven't for eons going back.
Back in my grandparents' days, not so much. My mom actually did donate. This is kind of morbid, but donated my grandmother's brain to research, knowing that hopefully it would help with more cause. But even back then, I doubt she even had it on her death certificate. I don't know, but I mean, it was very apparent.
I don't think it's morbid. I think it's incredible that she did it. We're going to take another short break. This is Donna Cole. We'll be right back on the 1430 Connection. This is Donna Cole. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. In the studio today with me is Lauren Ridzon. She's event chair of the Anne Arundel Walk to End Alzheimer's. Before we went to break, we were talking about her personal experiences with her grandmother and grandfather going through just such a traumatic loss to their ability to remember. What are some of the other warning signs to Alzheimer's disease?
The Alzheimer's Association does print a very good Know the 10 Signs document. First and foremost, I would say poor judgment. These are adults that have lived a long life, and when they start making those decisions that aren't
driving to Dover
accurate,
to pick up groceries at 3 o'clock in the morning.
And things that don't make sense. It's different than just losing your keys all the time. It's a whole nother level. It's like losing the car. Right. Every time. And time and place confusion, not knowing what year it is. And that's another thing is when I would visit my grandmother, she sometimes would think I was her daughter because she's going back to when my mom was my age.
Right.
And actually everyone in the nursing home thought I was their daughter, to be honest, because that was just the nature of it. But so not understanding, who the president is, that type of gets down to speaking, problem with words or writing, just sort of, and as you mentioned, sort of even swallowing, walking, the simple basics as you get kind of deeper into it, but mostly that daily life that you once knew,
Goes away.
just kind of slowly changes. And sometimes it's so slow, you kind of, like I said, I think the driving to Dover was our sort of like aha moment.
You actually, and we'll get back into the warning signs, one of the ways your family dealt with it, and you were on the front lines, you dealt with it through...
Yeah, we tried to make light of it as
humor,
much as,
right.
as much as you can, because you can't be down on yourself, and you're going to do the best you can. In a way, I just had a baby boy, so in a way it's like being a new mom. You have to give yourself a break.
Yeah.
You can't be perfect. When someone is asking you the same question every day or 3 times a day, over and over, you just sort of, you can't take it to heart. You sometimes change the answer because it's interesting to you that day.
Well, ironically, I think there's a lot of similarities between toddlers and those suffering from Alzheimer's.
Yeah, it's like a full circle almost.
Exactly.
And then, you go back to the diapers and everything else.
All right, so warning signs, top 10. We have memory loss that disrupts daily life, challenges in planning or solving problems, difficulty completing familiar tasks, confusion with time or place, trouble understanding visual images and spatial relationships, new problems with words in speaking or writing, misplacing things and losing the ability to retrace steps, decreased or poor judgment, withdrawal from work or social activities, and changes in mood and personality. Again, this is the 6th leading cause of death in the United States. The walk, October 23rd in downtown Annapolis, kicks off at 11 o'clock with registration. How about some shout outs to some of your sponsors?
Yeah, so Dogfish at Ale House is an amazing sponsor that's come on to throw our post-walk party. So if you do register, could come out for the walk, you will be fed by Dogfish at Ale House some amazing food. All participants, if you raise over $500, you get into the Champions Tent with special menu and a beer garden, thanks to Dogfish at Ale House. We've also got some great sponsors. Severn Bank just came on board. We're going to have a bank day, turning in some funds over at their location on the 18th. And my company, SciComp, an IT reseller, is going to be a start and finish line sponsor. We also have a lot of the local healthcare groups, Genesis, Brightview, 5 Star Senior Living, Hartford and Suburban. Those are all, they're on board because it's their business and industry, and we appreciate that. Giant Food, Panera Bread provides breakfast.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, you can't really, there's a lot on board.
I think a photographer I saw also that you might have some relationship
Oh
with.
yes, my husband. He donated his time as a photographer. He's Steve Ridzon Photography. Last year we did the team photos and provided everyone with a team photo walk away gift. Again, we've really elevated this event in the last couple of years. And
a shout out for our fellow member of the media emceeing the event is
Jamie Costello.
Exactly.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
That he didn't MC it last year, so we're excited to have him on board.
He's a good guy.
He actually has been involved with the association for a couple events, so we really appreciate that.
Okay, so walkers can register as individuals or teams. Registration is free, and those who raise at least $100 will receive the Walk to End Alzheimer's t-shirt. To register, volunteer, or donate, visit alz.org/walk. Do you need volunteers? More volunteers?
Heck yeah.
Well, there you
Always.
go. Again, October 23rd here in downtown Annapolis at Susan B. Campbell Park. Thank you so much for joining me today, Lauren.
Thank you so much for the time.
I'm Donna Cole. This has been the 1430 Connection. We will see you next week.